Alrighty, hello chat, hello, welcome to Of the Devil, episode 0. Sorry about that little delay, just had to get some laundry running. You know how it is. Let's... Happy Morgan Tuesday, Robbie. Set up here. I have not played the new episode of this yet. I've only played episode 0, episode 1. I've been meaning to get to episode 2. I'm going to do that in my free time before I get to it on stream. I just, with the move and everything, I've been pretty busy, as it turns out. That kind of thing, takes up a lot of time, takes up a lot of energy, takes up a lot of everything. Here we go. Okay. Boom. Welcome. All right. Yeah, that's true. Suffer. And then she morged all over those guys. I'm so glad to see you already have the spirit. That is exactly the spirit we should be going into this game with. This is a sidebar, but I fucking love this title screen. Alright, just gotta pull up chat on my phone. Let me go into mod view in case any of you motherfuckers get any ideas. Okay, I don't want to... How the fuck is this app supposed to work? Mod view, here we go. Okay, and then all I gotta do is pop over to my... I have not made a post on my Tumblr yet about this. Let me get over there. Oh, I just noticed. Robbie, you're not a mod. Let me give you a sword. You have the easiest to type username out of any of my mods. All my friends get swords. Alright, I think with that said, let's get started. New case. What if I just start y'all on episode 2? What if we just dive in on the deep end? No context, no nothing. I know they're each supposed to be like standalone, but mods make that bitch a hollow memory, half held and misty as a winter morn in the minds of all those who ever loved her. That's pretty funny. I am gonna +2 you. It could have been better but I just have to I have to dispute the profanity. I don't think we needed the language in this one, Boog. Mods Purger in the fridge. Now that's good. That's clean. That's to the point. I know that, but it just doesn't have the same sort of jive with the rest of the thought, with the rest of the message. Let's do this thing. Okay, it is discrimination. I'm making that plain. This is discrimination. I am discriminating against bitches. All right, I gotta figure out voices. I gotta figure out some tones, some acting here. Damn right you can. Alright, I appear to have shrunken you. I appear to have shrunken all of you further. Give me a moment. Okay, tiny chat is a pretty good bit. Hold on, somebody type something. Yeah, look at tiny chat. Okay, we'll embiggen. Yeah, maybe we do an upper corner chat. Let me re-embiggen a little bit here. Tiny. I'm not going to make the immediate. Let's just say I might know a little something about a white woman, Tiny. All right. Thanks. All right. Morgan voice. We got a Morgan voice here. Wow, what if I fucked around and made her British? No, I'm not gonna fuck around and make her British. I might make somebody else British, but I'm not gonna make her British because I have to talk to her the whole fucking time, and I don't want to do that. I gotta go noir. I gotta go noir mode. I gotta get a little Dame walked into my office type beat going. There is a character called London. That is true, but he's not. That dude is not. That dude is not British. Hey, thanks for popping in. This is just a problem my setup has. I have my voice audio cranked all the way up, and it looks equal on my end. I don't know what's causing this, but I'll turn the game down a bit. This has kind of always been the case with my my setup here. I'm just always wary about pushing into like, cause like we're getting up to like the slider is in the red on OBS. YouTube is now serving you horse care ads. I think you've uma'd too close to the sun, sister. I think maybe you're in too deep. I think they got you. I think you're about to be horse poor. All right. Okay. So, we're just gonna do Morgan voice, we're just gonna send it, we're just gonna see what happens. Horsefem, that's damn true. Alright. Rain sizzles off neon above me. Summer shower creates a noted uptick in the flickering of holograms down the street, and a slight blunting of the night's ambience. Emphasis on slight. Lights, cameras, and constant noise. The city's got insomnia with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping the secondhand nervous energy of it all, but I'm plenty acclimated. Just a wave of worries cresting on the surface while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my mood just fine. 'Cause if I'm not careful, this client of mine's gonna die in jail. It's hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper, but by the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadows of doubt left. Because this whole world's lit up, mapped out, never unknown, and always online. Whether it's incandescent or neon or hollow, whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen, there's light shining on every last pixel of the map. And someone is always watching. Solitude's a rarity, and anonymity is scarce. And criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So you take whatever clients you can get. You don't balk at public defender work, no matter the hour. Should you find yourself in one of the last dark, quiet corners left in the whole world, well, smoke 'em if you got 'em. Not that there's much else I can do until... my phone? Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. You're expected at the 254th precinct. Present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. I'll try. Looks like the paperwork came through. It's nearly 3:15 now, 90 minutes since I took the job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since they finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll have used that time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are gonna get busy. I don't need that shit. You kidding me? Yeah, I've played this one before. I haven't played episode 2, but I'm streaming this for some of my loyal viewers to get up to speed on the story. Precinct 254. It's a goddamn ghost town. But nothing but a hologram for a welcoming party. I'm here about a homicide. High clearance rates be damned. You'd think they'd treat it with a little more gravitas. But whatever. If I'm that unimportant, then they've got no right to complain if I take my sweet time getting checked in. Oh yeah, Boog, I heard that game was phenomenal. I think I have it added to my library. I'm just trying to clear space on my games list right now. I keep a very tight allotment of how many games I can be doing at a time, and we're getting close on a couple. I think I'm nearing the end of Pokemon ZA. So clearing that off will free off space. Hey, my game of the year for last year came in late too, so I totally get that. Pokemon Zato. I love the world and everyone in it. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. And if you're flat broke, no one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can't poke around and shake some change loose. The medium's cracked in the corner. Looks bad, but my phone's made of the same stuff, and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls off the sofa. So when these purple ones pop up, we get little, terms here. You'll notice my little Morgan phone charm. Yeah, let's read about conductive resin. Though it outwardly resembles plastic or glass, conductive resin is actually an electromagnetic polymer used in a wide variety of stationary portable devices where its unique properties allow it to act as both a display and a processor, enabling ultra-thin or even transparent electronics. Oh yeah, let me bounce Morgan around a bit more. One of the best parts of all of these is that there's always like these like ads at the bottom. That one's not, this one's not diegetic. I think I got this for like playing episode 0 or something. I think if you're Hello Kitty, then you need a phone charm of one of your friends, right? Like you need one of those other motherfuckers, like Daniel. Is that the? Could probably know the warranty on one of these things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken entirely. Even at this hour, it's still dutifully scrolling through its notifications. Looks like the usual 1-to-1 ratio of public health alerts and inoffensive pop culture trivia you always get served at state buildings. But there's a few missing persons, too. 1 year of Silver Plan coverage, courtesy of Caduceus, as a reward for any... Silver's no joke. Family must be getting desperate. An actual police lineup. It's like I walked into a museum. The museums tend to feel expensive and clean. Dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department's more like an attic. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had witnesses making IDs in the lobby. And again, it's hard to believe they were ever doing lineups in the first place. Are you certain? Wasn't it dark? Did you know that during traumatic events, memory formation is blah blah blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting fish in a barrel. And all during billable hours. But there's no room to sow doubt anymore. Not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording. Assuming their phone didn't automatically file a police report for them. A data pad? I'll bite. Even when there are more advertisement than article, they can still be informative. In a flowery, roundabout, corporate propaganda sort of way. Subway fixes axed. City to refocus on canopy. Declaring the subway tunnels to be irreparably flooded, city engineers announced this week that all plans to drain and repair the system were being suspended indefinitely. Saltwater damage to sensitive electronic cabling and erosion of key tunnel features were cited as reasons for why 89% of the subway system was evaluated as critically compromised or worse. Hi, pal. Civil engineering efforts will be refocused on maintenance and expansion of the hybrid super infrastructure system that weaves together trams, highways, walkways, and skyscrapers into the canopy high above our city streets. Reactions to the announcement could be characterized as blasé. It's been years since the subways last ran, and decades since they last ran on schedule. Most citizens have long since given up hope on them ever making a comeback. Online chatter barely reacted to the announcement, with most commenters and voters' attention focused instead on the growing investigations into Councilman Long's campaign finance irregularities. As one of the Canopy's major backers in City Hall, Long has often found himself at odds with a small but vocal group of critics that consider it to be an eyesore and an amplifier of light and noise pollution. And with Long having stepped away from his political duties in order to more fully cooperate with investigators, for the first time in nearly 20 years, the typically rock-steady political foundation of the Canopy was looking uncharacteristically shaky going into this week. But with the subways now officially no longer an option, people and corporations alike have little choice for how they complete their morning commute. Not all reactions to the news have been negative. At least a few bold individuals see this latest report as vindication and possibly even a rallying cry. Already considered by many to be a rising star in infrastructure solutions abroad, tech startup Subterra made headlines last year with a radical proposal for a system of personal submarine taxi pods that could make use of the flooded subway tunnels, but momentum stalled when their first prototype for the city came in at a disappointing 3,359% over budget. Though one council member was quoted as calling their system mind-bogglingly wasteful and impractical in the extreme, in light of this latest announcement, Subterra has proudly declared their intent to resubmit their proposal package. Across the entire globe, coastal cities like ours have struggled to find civil engineering answers to rising sea levels and subterranean flooding that satisfy financial, practical, and aesthetical concerns. Historically, most scientists have attributed this increase in sea level to climate change, though there are dissenting voices. Water rises and falls all the time, for reasons we do not fully understand. Are we to... It appears that you have 0 free articles remaining this month. Please verify your account information in order to continue reading the stories that matter. Ballsy of them putting the paywall there. As if I had reached for my wallet after having to read a word like aesthetical. Besides, I got the gist of it. The takeaways that the city will be focusing its efforts on. So, whenever you read one of these data pads, you get a little like reading comprehension question like this. And if you get it right, you get more chips. There'll be increased scrutiny surrounding the Canopy now that there's no Plan B. It's a massive project with a massive budget. Lines the pockets of a lot of people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment, not when Councilman Long's already thoroughly chummed the waters. What are they really talking about here? High traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishing, multiple screening stations. Pragmatic brutalism so textbook it could teach freshman level architecture. Can almost hear the building drone on and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles, the civil planning equivalents of battle scars. From a fight won so long ago that they're starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very imposing back when it was built, but walking in here now with crime rates where they are, feels like a hospice ward for heavy-handedness. Alright. I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much as I can here. Time to get checked in. Booted up fine. So far, so good. Good morning! Morgan, here for the public defender contract. Could you please provide your name and... Great! Please stand still for a moment. I wouldn't call Intake Hollows charming, more like harmless. But that's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk or two in their tech so long as it never speaks out of turn. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth? So far so good, was it? Say, why don't you just scan my ID card? Great! Now, could you just confirm your date of birth for me? Why do they even bother asking? My birthday's on the damn ID card. And my profile. Profiles? Morgan. No first or slash last name given. Date of birth, December 26th. 175 centimeters. That's like reasonably tall, right? That's like, I don't know, like what is that, like 5'9", 5'10"? Blood type AB negative. Criminal defense attorney, likes puzzles, smoking, and wooden furniture. Dislikes commercials, hairdressers, and jogging. Can fall asleep in any position. Decaf coffee and drinks a whiskey sour. We can also bring up the articles we've read in the past here. And if we want to read more about data pads or whatever. Okay. I'd have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. No problem. My birthday's December 26th. Perfect. Good morning, Morgan Counselor. Thank you for your timely arrival and taking on this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak to your client, you can proceed to counseling quarter 3C. Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room? I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards. Don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new euphemism either. They could call it the involuntary wellness check room if they like. Doesn't change the way it makes a person feel sitting in a stifled box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection dully warped across gunmetal walls. Morgan Counselor, can I help you with anything else? What are you? I'm a smart user interface, proudly sold by Noble Electronics. Thank you for asking. If you're interested, I can send you a link with information about our subscription packages. Should I send you a link with information about our subscription practices? No. Sorry. That was a mean question to ask. I know the city's not terribly concerned with the low rewards, but this is a police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty? This facility is currently undergoing renovations. Since when? The 60s? It has been 22 months since the timetable was last updated. They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they? I'm sorry for any inconvenience you might have encountered. I'm adaptable. What about you? They ever gonna fix that crack? Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work. Well, that's all that matters, right? That'll be all. Thank you. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office, through the door to your right. Thanks. But I think it's just me for now. So you could go on break if you like. Automated dependents do not take breaks, Morgan Counselor. And what were you doing before I walked in? You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office. Through the door to the right, thank you. Ads don't get breaks, and they don't get my jokes. But it's usually the humorless types that are the most fun to mess with anyway. Is this... I'm gonna play this out, then pull back to the log so I can remember which one is which. Eyes gone bad? It's still... A voice. No. Voices coming down the hall. Compared to yours? Probably. Thank God I stopped for directions. A building this empty, the desk could have just told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, and decidedly low energy. I appreciate you worrying about me. God forbid I try to be serious. While the other rings with youthful indignation. It's not like a job is important or anything. Definitely cops. And at this precinct, at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. Why else would you bother to print all that out? One document or 100 looks the same on a datapad. Anytime you question a suspect, you need to have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think you know them better than their priest, their mother, their big brother. I wasn't gonna say that. So how many of those sheets were blank then? No red carpet tonight, officers? Oh, sorry about that, ma'am. We don't keep many extra hands around at these hours. Probably faster to let the desk handle intake anyway. But mostly cheaper. You the lawyer? I am! Morgan, Esquire, pleased to meet you. Same here, Counselor. Kasim London. And the ball of sunshine here is my partner, Farah Reyes. Ball of sunshine? She certainly is. Huh? Sorry if you were kept waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night. It's no trouble. Gave me time to enjoy my cigarette. Cigarette? Like tobacco? What are you, 80? She can't be more than a few years younger than me. We're the detectives in charge of this particular case. And it looks like tonight we're also your humble guides to the illustrious homicide department. Apologies in advance for any cobwebs. I'm pretty sure I've seen this London character around the courthouses before. He never struck me as more than just some old-timer. I suppose being an old-timer is an accomplishment in and of itself in his profession. Sunshine is definitely a new face, though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning and her shirt still looks ironed. Freshly promoted, maybe? 2 whole detectives working at these hours? Sounds serious. Unless you were just the first to arrive on the scene. No, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms responded to the emergency calls within a few minutes. Calls, plural, must have been quite the commotion. Look around, do you think we're the first to arrive for anything? She's not wrong. We were only tapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement with an ongoing investigation. Our ongoing investigation. Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bite at this point. So you suspect that this client of mine is involved in some separate criminal activity? Wait, did they really not? No, I guess they wouldn't put it in a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a little professional courtesy, a fair warning, yeah? That's the heartbreak killer in that room. We've got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass this shitstorm on to some other night owl and go back to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at the moment. So perhaps in the meantime you'd be so polite as to fill me in about this heartbreak killer? They cover utilities of the rock you live under? Is there a problem? You're seriously not familiar with HK? Never heard of him. I've heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks, their crimes wavering between breaking news and urban legend. Their presumed goals flip-flopping from an unadulterated anarchy to unappreciated vigilantism. At street corners, in the media, on the net, Everyone's indulging in the exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. But right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or don't know. And when it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do acting smart. I take it he's a repeat offender? Was it the Killapot that tipped you off? Him, we're seeding gender connections to them, we gotta get it together. You must have at least heard about his MO. Media's gone crazy with it. Along with everyone else. One bullet, straight through the heart, body left to lie where it falls. Hence the name Heartbreak. Not exactly creative, but amidst the swirl of every other 100-word article out there, catchiness trumps originality. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun, without even needing to reload. Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6? That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye at the shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. But shooting 6 people with accuracy like that? It's a whole different beast. Dick's a sitting kind of monster. A real freak. His pulse probably didn't even rise. I see. You almost make him sound like a machine. Is it possible that... No, it is not. There's no such thing as killer robots, madam. Of course, my mistake. So all those androids marching in the military, those robots patrolling in police uniforms, those drones dropping firebombs from the sky. I guess they're all firing blanks. Fair enough. Machines can kill, and they have been for decades, but they don't commit murder. Right. Evil like Heartbreak is all organic. That's a pretty terrifying thought. I should really start paying more attention to the news. How I managed to miss 6 murders. Well, you can only blame yourself for missing 5. Pardon? You still not getting it? HK's 6th victim was found a few hours ago, when we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So you're convinced that my client is this Heartbreak killer and tonight was just his latest crime? That's a serious accusation, with very serious consequences. I take it you have serious evidence to back that up? I was being literal, counselor. Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in blood. Well, that's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. Is that lawyer talk for open and shut? But even if that's the case, how does one crime scene make him look good for 6 murders? It's all there in the discovery files. And the ARCs, of course. Join the local net on your phone and we'll turn over everything you need. I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. But if it's all the same, could I ask you some questions while I've got you here? The hell kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives? This kind of attorney, you're just that pleasant. Hey, come on, sunshine. Not like we're going to be punching out anytime soon, right? Whatever. Let your clients do an interrogation all night for all I care. You mean the counseling quarters? We're at your disposal, counselor. I'm gonna take this moment to check our new profiles. Let's go. Date of birth, October 19th. This is Farah Reyes. 162 centimeters, so a short queen. 63 kilograms, A negative. Homicide detective 3rd class. Likes rice, limes, and automotive history. Dislikes liars, small plates, and cheap people. Enjoys watching product reviews, bad at games of chance, and her right eye is an Osiris Elite 86, which I believe that makes it last year's model. Now let's talk about Kasim London. We got May 5th date of birth, 186 centimeters. That's really tall. No, that's like 6 foot. This is embarrassing, but I always have to standardize to the fucking JoJo's, because they always talk about how they're all like 195 centimeters, and that's like 6'5". So he's like 10 centimeters shorter than that, so he's like 6'1". Blood type B positive. Let's hope he sticks to that. Homicide detective first class. Likes photography, dive bars, and bangs. Dislikes ties, pollen, and after-hours work messages. That's my kind of guy. Listens to podcasts. I know a couple good ones of those. Hobby is pencil sketching, and he is frequently running late. Great. Now let's see what we've got on Heartbreak. Fucking nothing. Occupation criminal. Likes killing, dislikes getting caught. That seems, I think, reasonable to me. Favorite color is probably red. Zodiac sign, probably not into astrology. Reward suspended due to an influx of false reports. You hate to see it. Now, even if he shows up in a McDonald's, you can't get your shit. I mean, you couldn't get your shit even if he did show up in a McDonald's, based on what happened with the lady who ratted out Luigi, but let's take a look around. Barren, stark, and uninviting. This must be Reyes's desk. Keeping your workstation neat and tidy is admirable, but I can't spot a single mote of personalization. Is she so new she hasn't had time to unpack? Or is she really that uptight and boring? Both, maybe. Loose wires, missing panels, an aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supposed to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? I expected to find a lot of belt tightening at a homicide, but I didn't think their operation would be this bare bones. They've got a stunning clearance rate and they work fast. Guess the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe their job is easy, what with our dear doting surveillance state eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you don't get your palms greased. So homicide ends up as the only state department with a shrinking budget. A dumping ground for the police force's most unambitious and least popular. I love the way they cut in to each of them on those. You shouldn't have cleaned up so much just for little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs to introduce this guy to a filing system. Or even just a stapler. Paper documents scattered about lazily alongside actual photographs. Either he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. And he doesn't look like the paranoid type. Well, orderliness aside, some things are better in paper, I'll give him that. Before I get into this one, I'm gonna go grab a drink. I'll be right back. Alright, I am back. God, my legs are so fucking sore. Now that I'm set up in the new place, I'm getting back into trying to work out a little more regularly, and it went a little hard yesterday. But one too many. So, now everything everything fucking hurts. But you love to see it. You know how it is. Okay. It looks like I accidentally closed the article, but that's not a problem because I could just pull it up right here. Hello. Latest Noble Androids receive warm welcome. Bolstered by a strong earnings report and surging sales of the Animate 16, Noble Electronics stock rose a stunning 3% this week to a new record high. While Noble's latest iteration has yet to surpass the sheer popularity of its predecessors, an increased profit margin has left Noble shareholders very enthused. Many investors were skeptical when, at their now infamous 2084 trade convention, Noble announced that the 16th line would be the first generation of androids to feature over 50% organic components. So-called warm androids, which at the time only saw demand in the health, senior, and childcare sectors, were looked down upon as impractical due to increased maintenance, cost cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. Increased maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. And while some critics voiced concerns that fringe religious or traditionalist groups might find warm androids controversial, more business-focused minds feared that Noble was alienating its customers in the industrial and military sectors in order to cater to civilian consumers, users that viewed their androids from across the room and not from above the factory floor. However, as has often been the case in the last decade, Noble's doubters were proven wrong. The Animate 16 is poised to break profitability records with no sign of slowing down, and many industry analysts once predict that these once rare organic androids will completely replace their more robotic predecessors in daily life within the next 3 to 5 years. As described in the earnings report, much of the 16th line's success, and indeed the success of Noble's androids in general, can be attributed to the remarkable lifelike, personable charm of their products. By all accounts, that charm can be attributed to the work of Noble's famed lead programmer, Dr. David Asher. Lead programmer is the understatement of the century, says Noble brand ambassador Lucy Dees on stage at their latest #Noble Industry Weekend. It's because of his Turing solution that every Noble product, from the sleekest assistants to the most advanced intensive care technicians, are so beloved and trusted by our consumers. While his reputation was on full display at the event, Dr. Asher himself was nowhere to be seen. He's always been reclusive, but he's really become a genuine hermit in recent years. Are we really to believe he's still... Hey fam, looks like you're not logged in on this device. Want to put your account info so we can help keep you reading? He's in the news again. It's no wonder. You can't spit without it landing on a piece of Noble tech these days. Especially not where the state's involved. Didn't know if they'll bite when it comes to warm androids though. For government use, they're just... All androids undergo wear and tear, especially if they're directing traffic or suppressing crowds. So if these warm androids bleed pink all over themselves every time they take a rock to the cheek, it's just an endless stream of bad photo ops waiting to happen. Okay. Nothing else jumps out at me around here. I've got a better idea of who I'm dealing with at least. Now I need to check out the crime scene data. I should have been sent a link. You've been granted access to state files regarding case KL4-33511. Reply C to confirm. Confirm. You need to reply C in order to confirm. Am I talking to a person? I am an automated dependent. Ads are usually more polite. Our personalities are tailored to suit our users' preferences. So the state likes you to be a little authoritarian. You need to reply C. C. It's case sensitive. C. Thank you. So that convo kind of calls back to an earlier game by these devs, Model Employee, which I don't know if Robbie, you might be aware of. It's a visual novel about a new worker at basically like a knockoff Amazon fulfillment center. It's really good. I played it last year. But it features the main character and the the AI who oversees the facility, Penny. And one of the first conversations that the main character has with Penny is that, like, am I talking to a person? Spiel. All right, if I project from my phone. Augmented Reality Crime Scene, or ARCS. All right, let's see what the police have, and what they think is important. Games like this, you always start with the body. The victim's body. Cause of death? Ballistic trauma, class 4, blood loss, atrium and aorta. Single gunshot wound to the heart. In brief, death was instantaneous. Yeah, hot tip. For all you pro detectives out there, little advice for you. No injuries anywhere else, and no blood or skin under her nails. Blood spatter, forensics, and all that other good stuff tells them that she was shot from there. So the killer was standing in the doorway when they fired. The murder weapon, a revolver found right next to the body. 6 empty casings found in each of the 6 chambers, meaning the gun's been fired 6 times. Looks like the crime scene techs practically disassembled the damn thing. But all they found were fingerprints belonging to my client. So he was found by the police, with the murder weapon, right in front of the body. I don't even know where to start. Highly prejudicial would be an understatement. Seems like this vase got tossed aside at some point. And yet there's not a scratch on it. Must be pretty damn durable. Isn't art supposed to be delicate? Maybe it's making a statement. A stand-up mirror shattered and knocked over. Real glass, no screens or cameras here. It was hit hard enough to come attached from its arm while shards of glass were scattered. Far enough to land on the victim's body. What a mess. That's all the big ticket items. What about the security? Looks like the apartment was unlocked all night. It's not uncommon for people their age in a neighborhood like this. But no signs of forced entry only hurts my client's case. What about the rest of the room? There's not much else flagged here. Just a lounge chair that got thrown and whatever that is. Unidentified ceramic debris? Flag is irrelevant. That's their technical assessment? Guess even the crime scene techs weren't sure what to make of it. Okay. That's everything the police highlighted. But did I miss anything? The hell is that? Something in the victim's hand? How the hell did... It's just a pill organizer. Looks like some immune adjusters, NSAIDs, and Tripexisone, a synthetic glucocorticoid medication. Glucocorticoid medication. Taken daily to reduce rejection symptoms like phantom pain and generalized itch. The autopsy said her tox screen was clear, but it's not like it matters. She could have swallowed every medicine cabinet in the city and it still wouldn't change the cause of death. It's odd, but ultimately irrelevant. Everything else here is all very incriminating. But the kicker's everything that's not here. No out-of-place DNA, footprints, crumbs. Nothing that points towards anyone except my client. Well, I've done more with less before. But not much more. I'm really gonna have to sing for my supper this time. Better get start. Who the hell's messaging me at this time of night? First person who comes to mind is... I suppose it could be something important. Currently texting with Brad. Red! What couldn't wait until morning? Good news, of course. Got a job for you. That's a pretty cheery way to tell me you violated parole. Oh, not that kind of job. Besides, I've been covering my tracks. This is something different. Kind of thing I can't handle with just a keyboard and phishing scheme. I need you to sue my gym teacher. I'm not that kind of lawyer. Sorry. Hey, at least let me finish. What did they do? Make me run laps? Not illegal. Let me finish. They made me run laps, even though I said I had a stomachache. Said. Gotta be like youth endangerment, depraved indifference, or some kind of shit. It sounds like you've already got a strong case. Try self-representing this time. What's with the blow-off? Nice phrasing. Oh wow, I'm laughing so hard right now. See? Is that your mugshot? I wasn't not gonna get a copy of my mugshot and use it as a reaction. I'm glad you found a use case. But I'm working right now, so... Anything cool? Homicide. Oh, cringe. Wait, what kind of homicide? Is it HBK? Is that the kind of morbid thing kids your age talk about? Teens my age? And yeah, we can read. Compared to the corrupt shit in the headlines? Old-fashioned murder like Hardy B is like... quaint. It's not heartbreak. Why'd you take the job, lol? You see the 98% conviction rate as a challenge or something? You taking up lost cause, pro bono's work? It's pro bono. That was autocorrect. You know they give lit homework for a reason, right? This is borderline concern nagging. Maybe you really are a bleeding heart. Or just a sucker. I'm not a sucker. Nice phrasing, lol. You should go to bed, Fran. Tomorrow's Sunday. I can stay up if I want. Tomorrow is Sunday. Because today is Saturday. What's with the Carpe Diem shit? It's nearly 4 a.m., kid. You've got school in like 3 hours. Shit. Repeat offenders may be good for business, but that kid's bad for my blood pressure. Important text message, I take it? Just your typical teenage drama. So then, if you wouldn't mind filling me in on a few details. So how about the basics? What exactly has my client been charged with? Your client, Carlos Baker Flatt, was arrested on the scene at 9:50 p.m. Using his middle name already? They really do think he's a serial killer. This is honestly, this is one of my favorite lines in the in this episode. I love this detail that Morgan points out where they jump to the full name. The charge being the first-degree murder of his girlfriend, Mrs. Diane Dawn. First degree, that's increasingly rare. To say the least. It's rare for us to get handed anything but crimes of passion around here. City's got damn near more cameras than people. So you gotta be really, really stupid to try and get away with murder. Well, Heartbreak's gotten away with it 6 times. So what's that make him? 5 times, and that makes him insane. I was gonna go with extraordinary. Let's split the difference and say he's extraordinarily insane. But nutjobs like that aren't renowned for their ability to think ahead. So what makes you think this was premeditated? How about the fact that he stalked and killed 5 other women as a warm-up? A warm-up? 5 previous bullets, 5 previous victims. None of them knew each other, lived near each other, worked in the same fields. Weeks of digital autopsies crawling up and down their online profiles. Nothing. So the serial killer chose his victims at random? If they have nothing in common? Yeah, nothing in common at all. Other than that they all look like cousins. The physical similarities are striking. All 5 prior victims were young women with brown hair and eyes, about the same height, comparable weight. Those features aren't exactly uncommon. Couldn't it be a coincidence? If you really believe that, you should quit your job and start buying lotto tickets. HK's got himself a type. Anyone can see that. Yeah, Boog, that's a good question. But it's probably just like, you know... Well, okay, the other thing to consider is that's public speculation, and we don't know how much of the information that they're giving us now is public information. Like, it could very well be the case that, that's also true. Are you really gonna try and tell me you don't see the resemblance? A young woman, brown hair, brown eyes. Can't tell how tall she is from a portrait, but I can take the hint. So you think what, exactly? That Carlos Flat wanted to kill his girlfriend so badly he went out and shot 5 other women first? Hey, if the shoe fits. If the shoe fits, then you put the shoe on the... What Sunshine means is that it's not uncommon for killers to displace their violence from people close to them onto outlets with fewer consequences. Drifters, loners, strangers, workers. He was probably building up the nerve for tonight by first practicing on these other similar women. Or he's just so far gone that he can't tell the difference anymore. It's not the worst theory in the world, but it doesn't fit. They want to claim that those previous victims were practice runs, dress rehearsals for tonight's main event. But if that were the case, there'd have been signs of hesitation, nerves. There'd have been mistakes. On top of which, guns are impersonal, execution shots even more so. There's no sadism or hatred or intimacy in a single bullet to the heart. Killing your girlfriend or her lookalikes usually is, if nothing else, a lot less sterile. If you ask me. What do you know about Heartbreak? Checking my phone here, and I have to say, you've done a pretty admirable job keeping the details of HK's crimes a secret. Less reputable sites are doing some real journalistic acrobatics trying to piece together a story. Yeah. Top 11 theories on who hurt HK was a real weighty read. It's not just journalists, though. All kinds have been emboldened. This is what you were talking about, Boog. The freaks that HK's managed to bring out of the woodwork in just a few weeks. Can you blame them, though? I mean, he's a genuine serial killer. Repeat offenders in general are an endangered species, but he's gotten away with... We know what he's gotten away with! Take a look around us, Detective. National DNA Registry is robust enough that cases never go cold. Cameras on every street, a phone on every citizen, violent crime at an all-time low, and clearance rates at all-time highs. But you gonna spout some alt-pol bullshit about invasion of privacy? No, I'm not. People are safer now than at any other time in history, detectives. So when someone like Heartbreak does come along... Good point. London's trying to look like he can laugh it off, but pressure from the higher-ups must be reaching its peak. They want, maybe need, to see someone charged, and that makes them predictable. Yeah, well, even if there's nothing standard about HK, Department SOP still dictates we starve the media for case details. That way when we do feed them, they're grateful for whatever scraps they get. But we can't take all the credit this time around. Homicide's tight-knit and tight-lipped, but it's not like there's much information for us to leak in the first place. And why is that? Because none of the shootings were caught in the opt-in crime surveillance system. How is that even possible? I know that there are some rough areas in the lower wards, but Optics is watching every other street in the entire city. You saying you haven't seen this killer on camera once? Do you think we'd have let him kill 6 people if we did? I understand your concern, ma'am, but Optics is only what it says in the name. Private surveillance systems signing up to feed into the state's security network. It's not perfect, just another one of the many public safety tools in our belt. It's not meant to be perfect, it's meant to help us solve crimes. Or at least act as a deterrent. One would hope so. Fat chance. Deterrents are for war rooms and board meetings. Anyone crazy or desperate enough to commit a crime in a city like this couldn't care anything less about anything as vague as the consequences of their actions. It's like a safety blanket, one with very few holes left in it. But it does have holes. Patching up those remaining holes takes effort, and that effort usually means rebooting the system. There's all kinds of technical details and digital bureaucracy involved, but the end result is that there are occasional localized blackouts, and the math used to schedule them is not impossible to predict. I see. But those windows of opportunity are small and short. Taking advantage of them requires specific knowledge. You'd need to be involved in law enforcement, pub data, city planning. They'd have mentioned if my client was a cop, and he wouldn't have needed a public defender either. His file says he's modded for heavy mass manipulation, not tech interfacing, so that just leaves city planning. So does he work construction for the city? HK has only ever struck at times and locations where Optics would be down. Even with the devil's own luck, it can't possibly be coincidence. Wait, so you're saying when this woman was killed? Yeah, there was a blackout from around 8 to 9 tonight. Right on schedule, so to speak. And it included the area surrounding the victim's apartments. Well, what about DNA from the other crime scenes? Was my client a match? There's been no blood, no saliva, no suspect DNA at any of the crime scenes. Yeah, the devil? I've heard of that. No footage and no forensics? Also no motives, tampering, or witnesses. It's been like hunting a damn ghost. We didn't even have a murder weapon. Until now. Finally, a lucky break for the boys in blue. Scanners, cams, drones, forensics. No matter how you dress it up with tech, all detective work relies on one basic assumption. People make mistakes. But HK's the kind of monster who doesn't make mistakes. Only reason we even caught him tonight was because he finished what he had set out to do all along. So is my client on the list of suspects before tonight? Weren't you listening? There was no list of suspects. We questioned some X's, a few CIs. Someone even spoke to 1 or 2 enlisted at some point. Nothing came of it. There was talk about starting on some kind of psych eval or something, but I never expected much to come of that. There's just not enough there to work with. In other words, the only thing they could have to link my client to those killings is the murder weapon. If I can jostle that keystone, then the rest of their case should start to come loose as well. By the way, I couldn't help but notice that you're light on staff. It's 3 in the morning. Were you expecting a parade? I thought there'd at least be a few androids around. Aren't many androids in any police station this week, not while the brass is renegotiating contracts. Contracts with Noble? Good guess. Hardly. They're the biggest. Hardly. They're the biggest robotics corp there is. Could spend all day in Center City without leaving their office's shadow. Yes, we're very fortunate to have them headquartered here. Saves us some money on shipping, at least. But these talks never last that long. I'm sure they'll be back to writing checks for Noble ads by the end of the month. Even with Noble pushing those warm androids? Warm, yuck. Might as well call it the adult line. Might seem in the bigger departments are out on patrol, but not around these offices. Warm or cold, there's no such thing as an android detective. Yeah. Yes? You really think that'll happen? We already use ads for patrolling, securing the scene, pacifying crowds. Doesn't seem like that big a stretch to me. You're joking, right? Android detectives. With all the pain we go through getting witnesses to talk to us? With your warm personality, I can't imagine. A cop knocks on your door, starts asking questions, you're gonna be put in a bad mood. An ad knocks on your door, calls you a degenerate criminal in a synthesized voice loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're gonna stop posting shit that'll get you put on a list. Well, we certainly don't want that. But flesh and blood witnesses are becoming less and less common anyway. Cameras, sensors, satellites, we already get all of our facts from machines. Give it a few more years, it might make sense to let machines do the investigating too. The police union wouldn't let that happen. She didn't have specified, it's the only real union there is anymore. I saw the time of death was 9 p.m. on the autopsy, but do you have a timeline for the rest of the night's events? Can't trust much of what comes out of his mouth, but we've managed thanks to less biased sources. And we're pretty confident about what we've been able to piece together from their statements. So they've interviewed witnesses. Sounds eerily similar to real police work. The suspect and his girlfriend were arguing loudly with one another starting around 8 p.m. Neighbors were very clear about that part. Couldn't wait to tell us all about the happy couple's domestic problems. Everyone in the building knew they'd been fighting for weeks. As you probably gathered from what you saw in the arcs, there was a struggle. Furniture turned over, glass shattered, but things could go quiet sometime before 9 p.m. And then there's a gunshot. Scrubbers are still scrubbing, looking for audio from the area to get a timestamp, but we heard from enough concerned citizens to be pretty damn sure about the time. Right. Emergency services got a burst of calls from the block shortly after 9 p.m. No one seemed to recognize the sound for what it was, but the silence that followed was pretty universally alarming. Officers arrive on the street at 9:08 p.m., establish a perimeter, enter through the open front door at 9:10 p.m., and then they find your client crouched over his dead girlfriend, his hand covered in blood, at which point they move to secure the scene and the suspect. Sorry, did you say his hand? Singular? Your client's modded. Cybernetic right arm. How modded are we talking about here? Registered with a HOW 85 habilis. Industrial grade, looks like. Says he's spec'd for dexterous manipulation of up to Class 4 KPA, which means a minimum grip strength of, well, basically, he could crush your neck without even gritting his teeth. Considering a career change? No, it's not that. It's just, your eye must be very sensitive for you to put the patch back on each time. And here I thought you just had a 14-year-old sense of fashion. You think a cop would cover up a dominant eye because it was fashionable? I actually thought the same thing the first time we met. You what? But getting back on track, that arm of his has been in the shop for some time now. He can't work without it. Money got tight. The arguing? Yeah. When did he put his arm in for repairs? 8 days before HK's first victim was killed. Well, No chance they'll be willing to chalk that up to coincidence. Your client was arrested on the scene after a preliminary scan found his fingerprints on the revolver. And no one else's. A revolver? What kind? The old kind. The real old kind. More specifically, a Calver M54, 6-chambered, 10mm. Calver? How? Retro. You don't know the half of it. We're talking steel chamber, real gunpowder, mechanical firing pin, and no tags. No tags? How is that? Just how old are we talking here? Yeah. 24/7 location data, timestamp trigger pulls, safety's coded to owner biometrics. For the past 3 decades, tags have made shooting crimes very unambiguous. So you're claiming my client used some kind of antique to commit these crimes? How else do you think he'd have gotten away with this 5 other times? If he tried to buy a gun legit, he'd probably fail the very first psych check. And even jailbroken pieces are only good for so long before update withdrawal sets in. So then M54, that's model year 2054. A 30-year-old gun. Well, that sure complicates things, doesn't it? In some ways, sure. But pre-tagging firearms are rare. Gotta be less than 1,000 of them left in the whole country, and fewer still compatible bullets. The ammunition would have to be over 30 years old, too. The novelty of his weapon has kept us in the dark so far, but now that we have our hands on it, it's gonna put him away for good. Archive department complained loud as hell about how deep they had to dig, but with the protocols they found, the techs were able to match the rifling marks on all 6 bullets to the gun your client was found with. Rifling marks? Bullets fired from guns that old are marked by the barrel's shape. So if all 6 bullets had the same rifling marks, we know that they were all fired by the same gun. It's not as plug and play as tags are, but it's equally precise science, I assure you. And if that's not damning enough, the spent casings from the 5 shootings were still in the chamber, without even needing to reload. The Calver your client was found with is the gun HK used to kill 6 women. No way to lawyer around that. An untacked gun, just being anywhere near a weapon like that could warrant your arrest. Being found by the police over a dead body with an untagged gun used at 5 other crime scenes is just... To summarize that, you believe that my client fought verbally, then physically with his girlfriend, and then he retrieved this weapon and shot her. Yeah, pretty much. How did he look when the officers found him? Guilty. How was his affect? Quiet, detached, stiff. Not exactly the picture of a grieving partner. That reaction may have lost him points with the cops, but beyond that, people react to loss in all kinds of unusual ways. And so long as the police are suspicious of you, there's no right way to grieve. Thanks for the chat, detectives. I think I understand the background well enough now. Candidly, I see the same strokes you do, and the picture it paints isn't pleasant. But even so, it seems a bit unrefined to be brought before a judge, don't you think? Hey, it's only our job to catch the bastard. The DA is the one who gets the conviction. Besides, we're not exactly going to have to work hard to convince anyone of his guilt. And why is that? Because we found a handwritten confession at his desk. Well, that's, unexpected. I'm sorry, you're not telling me that he wrote a confession? Has it been verified? Not yet. We have to muscle past everyone in fraud and disinfo to get to the front of that line. Why bother? The note's covered in his fingerprints. There's a copy in the discovery data, but I should warn you, it doesn't exactly make for light reading. I'll have to manage somehow. I need to see this confession for myself. Sorry for everything. Can't say it enough. Didn't mean to hurt you or do what I did. Did not, want any of it to happen. Can't stay in control when I get mad. When I'm not in control, I hurt people without meaning to. Wish I hadn't broken them. Didn't mean to at first, but I was hurting. Wanted you to hurt too, but didn't want to hurt you. Words aren't enough, I know that now. I'll take responsibility and do what I've been avoiding. Please forgive me. That was difficult to read. Barely legible, in fact. Well, got a spin on that? No need. But it's a confession. Not a confession that he signed, though, is it? Not yet. And not when he intends to sign any time soon, considering that he asked for representation. Yeah, the most wanted man in the city asked for a lawyer and got you. Guess you're both lucky. Hardly. I just happened to be awake when the call went out. But I'm not so flush with work that I can afford to turn tail now. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go and speak with my client. What? He's not still handcuffed in there, is he? Look, counselor, with all due respect, we have strong evidence pointing to that man being responsible for 6 murders. 2 hours or so in cuffs isn't cruel or unusual. And that's for your safety as well. It's kind of you to worry, but I doubt he'll be in any danger. He's killed 6 women. None of them were redheads. Seriously, though, I'd like to speak with him alone now. Camera's off, if you don't mind. Yeah, Morgan is so fucking funny. For sure one of the characters ever. I love her. Happy Morgan Monday, Tuesday, everyone. Give me a second. I'm grabbing a little cough drop here. Mike's on or off is your call, counselor. But we'll be watching the feed from right outside in case anything happens. And the cuffs. The cuff, that is, stays on. That worried about me? How chivalrous. Yeah, my armor's practically blinding. Gross. I'll start up the unlock cycle. Counselor, just one last word of advice. If you have any interest in his well-being, I'd suggest you help him sign that confession. Not a bad idea. I do get paid either way. But the defense part of the defense attorney isn't just for show detective. I mean it. 6 people dead is one thing, but he's also caused weeks of widespread terror and public unrest. Putting it another way, he's made the state look bad. That's a capital crime if ever there was one. And even if the death penalty's not actually on the table these days, I could guarantee he's not going to like whatever rehabilitation plan they draw up for him. Look, I've seen the virtual work release program in person, and it's being challenged before the Supreme Court. Yeah, sometime in the next decade, maybe. Just remember, a plea deal might feel like a loss for you, but if it keeps him from, well, that's probably a win for your client, right? Prison sentences are generally lighter for those who plead guilty, that much is true. It saves the courts a great deal of time and money, and they show their gratitude with reduced sentencing. But no one will ever be grateful towards the heartbreak killer. Anyone convicted for killing 6 people will never rest their mind another day in their life. It's depressing as hell in here. They need to liven this place up. Carlos flat, right? Hope you don't mind if I get comfortable. We've got a lot to cover, but this shouldn't take all night. What are you? Look, I already told you people, I'm not a cop, Carlos. Furthest thing from it. I'm a lawyer. Your lawyer, in fact. And I'm here to help you. Yeah, well, they said that too. All of them did. Back there and here, kept repeating it the whole ride over. They said that they were going to help me, that they knew this was all a mistake. Then they said that I killed acting like they were on my side, and they thought that I could have... It's not their job to help you, Carlos. But it is mine. And I'm here now. He's still in shock. I need more information, but if I approach this the wrong way, he'll just clam up even more. I'm sure you're exhausted. It's probably difficult to think, let alone speak. But I'd like you to try and answer a few questions. The police already questioned you, I'm sure, but they were treating you as a suspect, not as a client. Okay. So what do you want to know? Let's start simple. Something mundane, grounded, rote. I'd like to know a bit more about you first, Carlos. Something like, what line of work are you in? I'm with City Engineering. Or I was, or I should be. As I thought, the police must be convinced he mapped the optics blackouts using data he stole from work. We got an ad? Alright. I'll use this moment to get a drink. Look over what evidence I have at this point. We'll check out his profile in a bit. I love how much the evidence is already filled up. Oh, that'll happen. As I thought, the police must be convinced he mapped the optics blackouts using the data he stole from work. My arm, I got it slotted for the job, and, Carlos, I'm gonna need more than that. So what do I know? He works in City Engineering, not a desk job. Reyes says he was modded for work, and that arm must be in custody at the moment. Based on his shoulder, it'd have to be pretty... utilitarian, yeah. He doesn't strike me as the type who's enamored with the aesthetics of modding. The young and the restless and the rich, swapping in neon and chrome limbs because they like the way it looks, or the way it makes other people start looking at them. No, he's pragmatic, grounded, and very unlucky. In which case, I should be too. You know, my brother wanted to mod. Really? Really? I don't even have a brother. He had everything planned out. A whole career path of promotions and bonuses and the upgrades they'd afford him. Then came his 18th birthday present. Test results politely informing him he's not a viable candidate. That sucks. I think he felt relieved, actually. Seemed like it was a weight off his chest. Like he was glad that he didn't have to choose. Does that make any sense? Yeah. I think it does. I always figured if I'd start at all, I'd start small. A hand or an eye. Test the water. Never thought about lopping my whole damn arm off, but the recruiter was enthusiastic. He said, because of the NCDA, there was financial aid and resources. Of course, that got shit canned, so now me and every other modder is royally screwed. Couldn't even let me keep the tax credit. The New Citizens with Disabilities Act was amended, not repealed, but I doubt he'd appreciate the distinction at the moment. I work the tighter spaces, the high-volt environments, mostly canopy upkeep. Typical stuff for modders, you know? He's speaking freely now. Don't need to do much more than repeat his words back to him to keep him talking. But the right word choice here or there can still make a difference. You work on the canopy? You must be... so we get this unlocked because we read that article earlier. You must be under a lot of pressure now that the subways are cordoned off. Damn straight, this crap with Long? Oh, once word got out that the case against him was real, every desk job in the chain became terrified of their own shadow. All of them convinced that Internal Affairs is going to come knocking if they misplace so much as a paperclip. Everything by the book means no room for compromise, no room for problem solving, no room for engineering. Yeah. And no patience for screw-ups. He's trying very hard not to look at his shoulder. Why aren't you wearing your prosthetic right now, Carlos? Yeah, that. Rejection issues, starting last month. A lot of sleepless nights. Rejection? Did the therapy not take? It's not like that. I wasn't oozing pus out of my sockets or anything. Then do these rejection issues have anything to do with your scars? Not in the way you're thinking. I'm right-handed. So those cuts on his face are just from shaving? I never thought this would go on so long I'd have to relearn how to do everything. I mean, the problem started small, trembling, but then the spasms and just oversensitivity, they said. An easy fix. But the problem got bigger. I couldn't let it get that far. Need to be able to trust your own hands when you're on the job site. Drop a cutter at the wrong moment and people could get hurt. So I sat down, made an appointment, turned in my arm, and watched my case get placed at the back of the damn line. I knew the cops were bullshit, but he wouldn't shoot a gun with his non-dominant hand with any accuracy. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Where did you turn it in? The thing is that, like, based on this case, even if he killed his girlfriend, right? Their only connection to Heartbreak is that this was the gun used for the other 5 kills as well. Right? So, I'm imagining the scenario in which this guy just gets really mad at his girlfriend, finds a gun, kills her, and then it just so happens to be the gun that HK uses. That would be real bad luck. Where did you turn it in? Some mass turnaround shop with a waiting list like you wouldn't. It doesn't sound like you're a happy customer. Hell no! I'd found a dozen other clinics with shorter wait times. But as long as I'm renting and not owning, the manufacturer decides where your arm gets maintenance. That's why I'm sitting here with this expensive-ass stump for his shoulder. I haven't been able to work in weeks. Bosses were generous enough to say my position might still be there when I've got 2 working arms again. You couldn't buy or rent a replacement yourself just in the meantime? I serve at the pleasure of the state. And they've got exclusivity contracts with Hindi, all locked up white-knuckle tight. Hindi? How Industries? As I recall, he's registered with one of their Habilis models. If I took one step on site with uninsured tech, forget the fines. I'd lose the down payment and my arm. I'd never work in this city again. If this was last quarter, maybe I could have worked something out with management, but like I said, no one's just sticking their neck out for anyone now that Long's deep hot shit. You mentioned discomfort. Are you in pain? Pain will come and go. It's the itches that'll kill you. And the phantoms come back pretty fast when I don't have anything arm-shaped attached to me. Didn't they give you something to, well, wear in the meantime? Something the clinics lend out for cases like this? What they gave me is a deadweight, 3-jointed landfill bait piece of shit. Sorry, it's a very shitty feeling having a part of your body that you know they cut corners on. It fits. It's compatible. Technically, I can slot it in and feel on balance again. But the fingers don't even bend, and the quick twitch motors are way off. It's like walking around with your arm asleep, or dead. So were you wearing it when... Were you wearing it when you were arrested? No, I wasn't. But I'm pretty sure I saw the police bagging it as evidence, so can't have gotten too far. So Detective Reyes was being quite literal about how he was found. He had the victim's blood on his left arm only, because at the time in question, he didn't even have a right. No inconsistencies in the story so far, and he's opened up about as well as can be expected. But this has all just been a warm-up for the both of us. Now comes the delicate part. Carlos, you and the victim were romantically involved. How long did you two know each other? Right. I've known her since college. We shared a few classes, some mutual friends. Always got along. Eventually we just got together at some point. Guess I never actually asked her out the real formal way. It sounds pretty cowardly saying that out loud. Diane, she was in genetics. Focused her studies on agriculture. It always takes them a few tries to get used to using past tense. Just finished her post-grad work this year. Got hired right out the gate. Practically headhunted, you believe that? Practically headhunted. Of course she was. Any company would be lucky to have her, unlike... It was a real-ass job. Paid real-ass money, too. So her career was starting to pan out. Right as yours had fallen into the mother of all slumps. Whoever she hired. Pedigree? No, Perigee Laboratories. I say that like the name matters. The whole setup's under Harco's umbrella. That doesn't narrow it down. The Harvest Corporation grows a third of the soybeans and corn in the entire country. One client that size, the lab wouldn't need any others. Now, no corporation earns the mega prefix without a little throat cutting, but Harco is about as tame as big businesses can get. Predictable like the seasons. No one's gonna buy that they had some lab tech murdered because of corporate greed. Had she adjusted well to her new job? Yeah, they loved having her there. She never mentioned arguments or disputes? Corporate politics getting rough? I don't think so. Not like I've been a good listener lately. But I never got the impression that she... Look, no one I know could do this to her. And there's nothing she could have done that would deserve what happened to her. It was a long shot, hoping for a disgruntled character from her past to shift blame onto. With no other suspects, I can't just reshuffle the detective's suspicions. I'll have to disprove their argument entirely. Thank you, Carlos. That was very helpful. It was? Now I'd like you to try and tell me whatever you can about what happened tonight. Alright, we are going to pull up his profile here. While we're here. Carlos Flat. Carlos Baker Flat, if you think he did it. July 8th, 189 centimeters. Pretty tall. That's probably, based on what we were talking about earlier, that's probably like 6'2", 6'3". 94 kilograms, B negative. He certainly is. Civil engineer with a canopy, we know that. He likes airports, worn shoes, and firm beds. Dislikes cabs, musicals, and cashews. Favorite flower is the poppy. Student debt is sizable. Luck is poor. Real down-to-earth guy. Real down on his luck guy. I hope we can get him out of this. God, I love having a ton of evidence in a first case. Oh. Start at the beginning and take your time. The details are important. Alright, Miss, Morgan. I'll, try, Morgan. When you're ready. We were, arguing. We had been arguing a lot lately. Arguing about stupid stuff. I haven't been working, haven't been making money, haven't been pulling my weight. I was mad at myself. More than that, I was jealous of her. Jealous over nothing. Jealous over goddamn money. The reports say you were arguing around 8 p.m.? 8? Yeah, it must have been when we started. We got into it and I said a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And I said one thing that I really, really shouldn't have. I crossed a line and we both knew it, so I left. You left? Yeah. Walked out the front door, thought some fresh air might help me cool off. Helped me figure out what to say to make it up to her. Of course, the air wasn't fresh, just humid, thick like mud. And while I was pissing away the time, Diane was... Did you bring your phone with you, or any other electronics? No. I kind of stormed off, didn't even take my key fobs. Didn't even lock the door behind me. With optics down, traffic and street-level cameras won't help him. That leaves... Did you go through a checkpoint, or talk to anyone with modded eyes? Did you buy anything, cash or credit? No, not even a vending machine. Not even a damn vending machine, huh? I may have done my match. How can anyone be this unlucky? That's quite unfortunate. I just wanted quiet at the time. Wanted to wallow in it, really. Sorry if I don't have all the details straight. My head is... But if my exact route would help, the cam's probably... What? What is it? Optics was what? Can that even happen? And there's no other proof that you were out at the time Diane was killed. Meaning you've got no alibi. This can't... Listen, I didn't do this. I couldn't... Carlos. I'm the one person you don't have to try and convince. After all, I'm your lawyer. So let's just get it all out there and see what we've got to work with. Right. Now you said you left to clear your head. So what made you come back? I came back because I heard a noise. A loud noise. Didn't know what it was. But it was loud. And it scared me. And it came from the direction of our apartment. I was walking back at first. But at some point I must have started running because when I got back I was so out of breath. And when I saw that the front door was open, something dropped in my chest and my lungs wouldn't... You live on the first floor, right? Yeah, first floor apartment, street facing entrance. We were proud of that when we first moved in. Like it was some kind of big deal. From the hallway, I saw her, but I didn't realize. I never thought that she was... The lights were off, the whole room was a mess. I thought we had been robbed, or she had fallen, or there was broken glass, furniture knocked over. And she was... I called her name and she didn't move. I checked her pulse and she was still warm. Her blood was warm. I saw... the gun. The gun. It looked so heavy, but I thought it had to be fake because I didn't want it to be real. Is that why you picked it up? What? Pick it up? I didn't touch that thing. I didn't shoot her, damn it. Doing what I do, you hear a lot of lies. White lies, blatant lies, hasty lies. Bad lies especially. For me, it's always been easy to spot a lie, but it can be hard to know what to do about it. I have all the proof I need in my files, but he's nervous and defensive. And none of this works if he doesn't trust me. It's a fact that your fingerprints are on that gun. What? But I didn't do this. I wasn't thinking. I was just... Carlos, all I'm saying is that you picked it up. That's all. Would you believe me if I said I didn't realize it was a gun? That explains how his prints got on the gun, but not in a way that would satisfy the police. Still, if all he did was hold the gun... So stupid. I know what a gun looks like. But seeing it in my own home right in front of... You were in shock, Carlos. You still are. The police came in sometime after that. I don't remember much of what they said. Things started moving fast, it seemed like. The rest of my night went probably the way you'd expect. Carlos, you admit to having a verbal argument with Diane, but you said you were surprised to see the room trashed when you got back. To clarify, you're saying that you two never had a physical fight. What? Physical? We never fought. We never fought like that. Did the police say that we did? They assumed as much. Which means that they also assumed the room was disheveled well before the shooting occurred. Considering what Carlos has told me, what else did they assume? What is it? I'd like you to take a look at something for me. The crime scene. Oh. It's an AR module built from data taken as the police entered, so... Right, it's just that, it's just data, Carlos. No grisly details. Okay. Let me see it. Take your time. Alright, I think I've got it. That's how the police found things. Now close your eyes and think back to how the room looked when you left. Try and focus on what's out of place. Alright. I'll take notes, you just say whatever comes to mind. I don't remember exactly where everything was, but well, the mirror was upright, of course, and that clock was still on the wall. The chair got knocked over at some point, and the bed got tossed, the cushions torn, and the urn fell. Other than that... No, sorry, that's all that stands out to me. I see. Like so? What's wrong? Something out of place? Carlos, you need to trust your instinct. If anything seems off, don't be afraid to speak up. It's just, I guess I just assumed your notes would be making edits to the EAR. Well, I suppose that works too. Yeah, Vine Boom sound effect. Sorry, I didn't mean... I think your drawing was pretty good, considering... I'd like to change the subject now, Carlos. Right. Let's talk about the letter that was found on your desk. Letter? What do you mean? I mean this letter here. Do you recognize it? Because the police are calling it a confession. A confession? But this is just a note to self. Pardon? Look, when we fight, I lose my temper, say things I don't mean to. So this morning I tried writing things down, so I'd have a script to stick to. So I could apologize to her instead of just fighting with her. Carlos, you say in the note that you hurt them? I broke her fidget tubbies. Her what? All right. See ya. Thanks for hanging out. Have a safe commute. Her what? Her fidget tubbies. They're these collectible ceramic character things. They're supposed to be like tactile. You use them as paperweights or conversation starters. Conversation starters? She loved those little things. They're not worth a damn. You could buy them at any flea market or garage sale, but they meant a lot to her, and I broke them. I mean, I was pissy at the time, but that goddamn piece of shit rental arm, I hardly know where I'm swinging it half the time. Got so angry I just ripped it off and tossed it in my room. That cheap, dusty, worthless. Okay, let's say he did break her Frigiduckies with his replacement arm. What does that change? Nothing at the moment. There's not enough detail in the note for me to prove what his intent was when he sat down to write it. But if the police insist on claiming it's a confession for the heartbreak killings anyway, couldn't even bother to sweep them up, I felt so... Alright, Carlos, thanks for answering my questions. Yeah, her ceramic Labubus. Oh, accidentally bumped that one. Now, I'm going to call the police back in here, and I'm going to get this cleared up for you. What? That's it? That's it? Oh, okay. Although, before I do that, I do have to ask. What do you know about the Heartbreak Killer? Heartbreak? Heartbreak? You mean that psycho that was trending all month? I mean, as much as anyone, I guess. I haven't been getting out much, but I'm sure everybody's on edge, a guy like that out there. He shoots people through the heart, right? The police have kept the victim's appearances far away from any upstanding news sources, so unless he was already following the murders, Carlos wouldn't notice any resemblance to his girlfriend. Ad? Okay, we'll wait. Take a little drink here. Hope everyone's having a good time. I fucking love this game. Playing this again is making me really want to just dive into episode 2, but I'm not going to have time for, I don't know, maybe a few days still. Yeah, and this whole game is a gambling ad. So unless he was already following the murders, Carlos wouldn't notice any resemblance to his girlfriend. I mean, she was shot in the chest, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? If he's this slow in the uptake, it's going to be a real shock when those officers walk in here and accuse him of being a serial killer. I'll just have to squash that theory as quickly and definitively as possible. I didn't realize you could smoke in here. Technically, I can smoke wherever I want. For a fee. I guess so. Nervous? Don't be. I'm the one who's on the clock. Right, I'm sure this isn't your first time doing this. No, of course not. It will be my first homicide defense, though. Oh. Why does everyone always think the first time's so goddamn important? Hey, cheer up. I've got relevant experience in other areas. Oh. And, what areas are those? You ever gamble, Carlos? No, ma'am. I never go anywhere near loot boxes. Won't touch the stuff. I meant more like playing cards. Oh. Well then, no to that too. I've actually got pretty terrible luck. Could have fooled me. Well, what I do is a lot like poker, Carlos. Poker's nice because even if you're dealt nothing but crap all night long, you can still win. Which makes things pretty fun. Okay, so, do you have a good poker face? I like to think so. And are you lucky? Only when the stakes are high. And in this metaphor, we're playing poker and the state's the dealer? If only. No, the state's more like the house. You mean like the house always wins? Yes. They're very good at it. Winning, I mean. That's why they're up there, and we're down here. That's why they're the house. So what do? We play the cards we're dealt as best we can, win more hands than we lose. Keep it up and eventually someone will come over and tap the dealer on the shoulder and whisper something in their ear, and then we'll be politely asked to leave. That doesn't sound very triumphant. The house always wins. So our definition of victory is more like, don't lose. Thanks, Morgan. But I guess I was more asking like, what should I say? Just leave all the talking to me. So that's the strategy. What's up? You know there's a saying about gamblers with strategies? Yo, you ready to confess yet? Because I already woke up the DA. Already? She must be new. The district attorneys have final say on whether or not a case is brought to trial. Only fair since they're the ones who end up having to actually prove the damn thing. Most of them prefer simple guilty pleas over long protracted trials, and they all dislike having their time wasted. Unfortunately, then you'll have to call them back. Because my client is not guilty. And frankly, I'm not even sure you have enough to hold him here. Right. What she said. You've got a weird sense of humor, counselor. Different generations, I guess. Before my time kind of thing. I'm very serious when it comes to defending a man's innocence, detective. Counselor, we have your client's written confession. His written confession. Let's start there. Okay, we'll be happy to. The thrust of every argument starts with the facts, what's already known and agreed upon. Public knowledge for every player at the table. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, counselor. Real paint by numbers stuff. See, we found a note at his apartment with his fingerprints on it, apologizing for how he hurt them all so bad. Now, how are you planning on spinning that? Those are the facts. But I've been building up my hand all night. And now I've got the weapons to answer anything they try and throw at me. Well, my client did write that note, and it was an apology. But not for murder. Yeah, Morgan's got like a underbust corset kind of situation going on. So this is a fun bit, is that we basically play cards to make hands here. So I'm going to take the debris, because he wasn't apologizing for the murder, as represented by the revolver. He was apologizing for the debris, as represented by the ceramic crap. No, you can. You're allowed. I'll forgive you. He was simply apologizing for this. The hell is that? I found myself asking that exact same question. Let me see if Automod caught anything. No. Automod didn't catch anything. What are we looking at here? Something from the crime scene? This diagram of the room, it's created from data you captured, right? Pure non-GMO augmented reality crime scene data, yeah. What's non-GMO? Not much these days. Notice anything out of place? Yeah, the whole room's full of busted shit. It's the scene of a murder. Full of busted shit for sure. But I was more referring to the unidentified ceramic debris found on the western side of the room. The hell is that? Ceramic debris, huh? Ceramic debris, huh? Solid Snake voice. Ceramic debris. Fidget tubbies. The boo-boo parts. How does it taste? Snake, that's a fidget tubby. It's a small ceramic collectible. Must be from the vase that got tossed. Actually, that's not possible. No, because that vase... It's not possible for that debris to have come from the vase. Because that vase is still pristine. How was that? How was that possible? The lady at the garage sale told me it was so old and delicate. Damn it, the one time I try and thrift shop on my own. Well, so what does it even matter? If the vase doesn't have a scratch on it, then the debris must have come from somewhere else. That debris is what my client wrote that apology over. You're saying that confession was his apology for not vacuuming? I am, because that pile of rubble is all that remains of the victim's collection of fidget tubbies. what he said. Mr. Flat broke the victim's ceramic figures by accident. And this impassioned note to self was just his attempt at scripting out an apology. Can you prove that? We're taking this seriously? As much as I wish we weren't. We're all in agreement that my client wrote that note. And we can all plainly see that there's ceramic debris at the crime scene. But since it couldn't have come from the vase, it must have come from the collectibles. Simple, right? The hell are you on about? The entire room was trashed, as the ox clearly shows. Those fidget tubbies must have gotten pulverized during the struggle, too. You really gonna claim you sat down to write an apology for breaking the toys after gunning it down? Not a bad train of thought, but I can do better. No, those collectibles were destroyed much earlier than that, and there's proof. Revolver, murder weapon, linked to 5 other crimes, Flat's fingerprints. Rental, stiff and unyieldy, a dusty fidget tubby slayer in police custody. A note found in Flat's room in shaky handwriting expresses a lot of guilt. We're gonna play the rental. Just take a closer look at the rental you took into custody. Huh? One swipe of your finger should show exactly how devastating it was to the Fickle Buddy ecosystem. It's fidget tubbies. Whatever. You did take it into custody. I'm sure your techs found ceramic debris on it, yes? Now that you mention it. Find whatever he broke them with his arm. While he was killing her, happy? Overjoyed because even a cheap arm's got an operating system that logged the last time it was worn, right? Right. See, I happened to spot a footnote on the lab report. Said that rental hasn't been used since the AM. Whose side are you on, old man? It's gotten pretty late, Sunshine. Just trying to save us all some time where I can. Well, thank you for your service. Well, thank you for your service. Are you seriously buying this crap? Just look at how scrawled, how panicked that note is. You expect me to believe he was that upset over a fidget tubby collection? One that hasn't even been graded? Setting aside Detective Reyes' surprising depth of knowledge when it comes to collectibles, you're correct, they held no real monetary value. It would be odd for Carlos to be so shaken over their loss. But so what? So what? After all, that's not panic you're seeing on that page. No, the only reason that note looks the way it does is because Carlos is right-handed. Yes, I am. Did they not know that? Shouldn't that be on my permanent record or something? So the reason why that note looks like Asylum Wall scribbles is just because he had to use his left hand to write it. I tend to think better writing than typing, and I need to get used to using my left anyway. I just thought it could be good practice. Taking that into account alongside the ceramics, your slam dunk confession is looking about as watertight as a fishnet. Okay, fine, forget about the confession. Congratulations, counselor. You've established that your client's remorseless. Now let's get back to the reality of the situation. Here are the facts. We found your client at the scene of the crime, wearing a coat covered in the victim's blood, right next to a big old goddamn gun that just so happened to have his fingerprints on it. That's right, that coat is... What, you gonna claim it's not his, that he actually wears an extra small? She's trying to bait me, in her typical low-key fashion. She must have something, no sense playing into it. Something you'd like to ask me, Detective? I'm just curious, what'll it be next? You gonna tell me he actually wears an extra small? And now we have another gambling mechanic. You stay or you raise. Gee, Carlos, do you? No. Yeah, sure, there's no evil twin you've forgotten to mention? No, I'm afraid not. Not even gonna go for a mysterious third party at the scene of the crime? To prove his innocence, I will need to get there eventually. But going there now without hard evidence? I have no evidence of a third person at this time. Damn right you don't. It's as clear as day in the Arcs. No evidence of anyone but Carlos being there that night. So keep dreaming. It was obvious she had something there. I wasn't going to win that hand either way. But at least I didn't overstep and take any more damage than I had to. We're not contesting any of that, Detective. My client freely admits to holding that gun. He picked it up in confusion after coming home to find a brutal crime scene. Which was not smart. Hey. But not illegal either. And that's all. He had blood all over his clothes. Yes, he did. Right. Do you have those clothes on hand, by the way? The lab finished with them a while ago. What are you getting at? It'll be easier to just show you. Would you mind getting them for me? You know what? Sure, I could use the fresh air. Stinks of bullshit in here anyway. And here I thought the room smelled like... Psst, Morgan! What are you doing? My coat's covered in her blood. I remember that much. So doesn't that, like, make me look really bad? Just relax, Carlos. I'm pretty sure that's impossible. You're innocent. And that means that having more evidence will always help you, not hurt you. Really? Really? Not really. Plenty of innocent people in prison. People with bad luck. Or bad lawyers. People shouldn't count on the truth to come out easy. More often than not, it takes coaxing. Whoa, what was it that reminded me of? Alright, here it is. One bloodstained jacket, fresh from the lab. So what's your angle? You gonna tell us this is actually just hot sauce? No, that would be silly. She actually thought it over. So what the hell's your point? Hey. Sorry, just got thrown off by the turn of good fortune. What good fortune? You should thank the detective for bringing you your jacket, Carlos. She's just proved your innocence. My client was arrested wearing this coat. He would have been wearing it at the time of the murder. It has the victim's blood on it, who we know died when she was shot in the heart. By a gun that happens to be an old-world pre-tagging firearm. And so this coat proves he couldn't have been the shooter. Is there a gas leak in here? In what world does that make any sense? Sense happens to be key here. I just need to draw their attention to what they can... Just do me one favor, detective. Tell me what you smell. I don't smell anything except dried blood. Exactly. The coat smells like blood, but it doesn't smell of cigarette. That's what I've been smelling. Yes, Detective London, I was smoking earlier. Could you rejoin the conversation? I've been listening. You wanted me to smell the jacket? If you would. Let's see. Huh. No gunpowder. What? What about gunpowder? Oh, don't blame yourself for not noticing. This was before your time. You can't be more than a few years older than me. But not before your partners, it seems. See, gunpowder's weak by today's standards, but it's still volatile stuff. Hard to store, prone to misfiring. And when it goes bang, it leaves behind an awful lot of evidence. The hell is she talking about, London? Modern firearms, like the ones we carry, use electricity, magnetism, even air pressure or sound waves. They've got more accuracy, more firepower, less recoil, less noise. And they don't leave behind any residue. Gunpowder residue. You talked my ear off about how difficult it is tracking down a gun that doesn't leave digital traces. But a revolver like this one, it'd leave gunpowder on the skin of whoever fired it for days. So then his coat. If you don't trust your noses, you can check the lab reports. I think if they had found any gunpowder on my client or his clothes, they would have taken the time to highlight it. Well, whatever. That just means he washed off after shooting her, or he changed his clothes. That's not impossible, but it would be pretty pointless. Huh? His jacket and his left hand were blood-soaked when your officers found him. Would he really go through all the effort to get rid of something as subtle as gunpowder residue just to get the victim's blood all over himself afterwards? Yeah, Mar, you're cooking. In light of these details, I'd like to formally request that you reconsider the charges Mr. Flatt is facing. As soon as possible. Whoa. They're faltering now. Should topple over any moment. The letter was mostly icing on the cake for them. But that gun is all they had to link Carlos to any of the shootings. So if it looks like he never actually fired the gun, I'll admit things were a little dicey there at times. But once I was able to grasp the situation, smaller pieces fell into place easily enough. Not my cleanest work by far, but overall I'd say... Did she get a message? Huh. Wait, did they actually manage to find it? Something you'd like to share, Detective Reyes? You're good. Twisting the truth in knots, making the facts work for you. Thanks. But your luck just ran out. Because the net scrub has found a cam active at the exact moment of the shooting. And right now, I'm staring at a photo of the killer. You want to bet? Photo of the shooter. If she had that, we wouldn't still be talking. But I doubt she's just pulling this out of her ass. She's got something from the scrubbers. I'm not sure I followed, Detective. Didn't we establish that there was an optics blackout during the shooting? Sure, there was. But this isn't from optics. Good thing I held my tongue. As I thought, the scrubbers must have managed to dig up something from outside the network. Which means... Party's over, counselor. Feast your eyes on this. Well. Okay, the quality is lacking. And yet there it is. They managed to find a quarter needle of evidence in a whole city block of haystacks. What are the goddamn chances? No, with the scale their tools operate on, I guess the chances are, as always, in their favor. Alright, this isn't good, but it's a far cry from the worst case scenario I envisioned. You could even say I got lucky, which means the stakes are... Well, it's a little bit... blurry. Don't look at me, I didn't take the damn thing. Technically, no one took it. Looks like at the time of the shooting, a neighbor was on their phone. Not like venting about how crazy the couple across the way was acting. But if their phone was on, its camera would be on. And so we managed to get this shot through the window. Where to begin? Far away, unfocused, ultra-low resolution, zoomed in, blurred, color shifted. It's so compressed it looks like it's from another century. There are tools that could enhance this image any further, and I could count the pixels on one hand. And you could kiss the admissibility in court goodbye. You can't honestly claim that you can identify my client from this image. And there's no way in hell you could get this past a judge. Yeah, you're probably right. We couldn't. But I think I know a DA that could. Either way, it doesn't seem like your client's leaving this police station anytime soon. A photo? What the hell is happening to me? think I know a DA that could. Don't be so modest, old man. We have photo evidence of a left-handed shooter standing in the hallway at the same time the whole neighborhood heard a gunshot. And who do we know had their left-hand fingerprints all over that gun? You're referring to my client. You think? We've established he wasn't wearing his modded arm at all tonight, so he must have shot with his left. Yes, and we've also established that he's weak with his left side, a left side that had no gunpowder whatsoever. Forensics will never be perfect, counselors. Sometimes we miss things. Sometimes you take a walk through the rain, and when you finally get where you were going, you somehow end up dry. But that doesn't mean it didn't rain. All of which is to say, before judge or jury, photographic evidence outweighs a failed sniff test. Carlos is innocent. I know he is, but that photo shows a left-handed shooter. Carlos is innocent. That photo is real. If both are true, that means that photo doesn't show what it appears to show. So, at a loss for words? Never. I'm just confused about one thing. Where was this photo taken from exactly? Exactly. Positional data is usually only accurate to the nearest public router. If we DN on the phone's owner and ask them where, why bother with any of that? Ballistics and common sense tells us that the perp shot from the room's doorway. The front entrance of the apartment faces to the south. There's a hallway that runs back to the bedroom. We're looking straight at the shooter, so it's pretty obvious that this was taken across from the north window. Okay, so like that. From the north. If this is from the north, then why can we clearly see the... It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. So we're looking into the bedroom from the north window. If she's wrong, I should seize on the opportunity to start turning the tide. I'm afraid that's simply not possible, Detective. This photo has to have been taken from the west. What kind of bluff is that supposed to be? The good detectives are misinformed here, and I need to take advantage of it. Time to press the initiative. How do you mean this was taken from the west? The autopsy tells us the victim was shot from the doorway. Your officer's ARCS data tells us the precise location of everything in the room at the time they arrived. And now your photo has shown us the exact moment of the shooting. And altogether, that tells us this photo must have been taken through the west window. As long as you consider... Just take one look at the clock in that photo. The clock? What about it? The clock, huh? Seems like London's got an idea. If he's mistaken, I could pounce on it to keep my tempo high. This photo was taken right before the shooting, so... Wait, don't tell me the time of death is wrong. That's a good question, Detective London, but the answer's no. The autopsy, the clock, and the neighbors all agree the time of death was 9 p.m. Right, no mistaking that. So then what the hell were you on about? There's a clock on the wall in this photo, analog style, and it reads 9 o'clock. 9 p.m., the time of the shooting. The hell's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing odd about the time the clock reads, but... Do you remember there being a clock in the room? What? Actually, I don't recall there being a clock. That makes sense. You wouldn't recall seeing a clock because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked onto the floor. And the only clock in that room is in the northeastern corner. And my client has informed me that before the crime, it was hung up on the eastern wall. Like so. What the hell is that supposed to be? An artistic rendition. It's, a very distinct. If you had information on how the crime scene was before the shooting, why didn't you just add that to the ox? And show you my hand? Just because Discovery Law compels us to share info, doesn't mean we have to play fair, Detective. I slipped my mind. I'll do that now. The important thing is, if that clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred, then this photo must be looking through the western window to see it. Don't start getting ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m., the same time that this photo was taken of the shooter. But you want to claim that clock's still on the eastern wall when it would have been knocked down during the fighting? You've got your logic backwards, Detective. Your precious photo shows that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. There's one other piece of evidence that proves exactly how the car is found. So what I can do now is I can amp up my bet based on how sure I am. Bam. We'll go all in on the glass because the glass shards fell onto the victim. So the scene was pristine during the shooting and was messed up after. Glass shards, what about them? Nothing much, really. Only that they're on top of the victim's body. And not under it. If the glass fell on top of the victim's body, that would mean that she was dead on the ground before the room got trashed. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? That's a good question, Carlos. Luckily, it's the detectives who have to delve into the minds of the criminally insane, not us. Tell me, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at the other crime scenes? Other crime scenes? No, nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds. So what did you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? That this was personal and things had gotten complicated. Shit happens. Shit does happen, Detective. But in this case, it seems there's been a general misconception about the order in which shit happened. So what if the room didn't get tossed over till afterwards? He still shot her. And we have a photo right here. And I'm glad you do, Detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Huh? Proving that it wasn't my client who pulled the trigger is difficult, and maybe more importantly for all of us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, I can instead prove that it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger. Because the man in that photo can't possibly be Carlos. Like hell it can. The glass shards prove that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And we know that until the room was tossed, that clock was on the eastern wall. Which means that this photo of the shooter was taken from the west. Back to this shit, that's impossible. The only hallway in that apartment runs from north to south. The only person with prints on that gun is your client. And the only fact that matters is that he used it to murder 6 innocent people. You're a very honest person, Detective. Excuse me? That's why you're such a shitty gambler. You've played your cards too early, and now I can steal the pot right out from under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation, you're right about the prints, and this HK figure has claimed 6 lives. But we aren't looking at the hallway in that photo. What? What we're seeing is... Can anybody guess? Can anybody guess the answer? I'm looking for... I'm just gonna go all in for sure. We got the prosthetic, we got the mirror, we got those things. We got optics, we got the victim. Congratulations, Mar, that is correct. What is that? You trying the glass shards again? Sort of. By the way, do you recall where those glass shards came from? Yeah, sure. They came from a standing mirror. A mirror that at the time of the shooting stood across the room from the western window. But then that would mean, at that angle, from that viewpoint, it would reflect the hallway. So we're not seeing a shooter with a gun in their left hand. We're seeing a killer take aim with their right arm. And as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks. And he hasn't worn his rental since this morning. So I meant what I said about that photo. I'm glad that it was recovered, because it just proved that my client couldn't possibly have committed this crime. That should be the end of it. Except it looks like Detective Reyes really is a novice gambler. Sunk cost has got its teeth in her now, clawing up her spine, whispering wounded pride in her ear. It's a cold sweat, hot palms kind of fever. The impotent, irrational fury of losing something you thought was guaranteed yours. But lucky for you, Detective, I'm well versed in shock therapy. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. That's one word for it. Then allow me to put a nice bow on everything for you. My client's so-called confession was just a note to self. The police found him in shock, reeling at the death of his girlfriend, and arrested him for being next to a gun he forensically couldn't have fired. After being confronted with these facts, he received photographic evidence of the exact moment of the shooting. Instead of utilizing said photo to track down the real killer, he tried to claim it depicted my client, a man without the requisite limb, standing in an architecturally impossible hallway. He could have had a backup arm. He could have stolen one. A little stubbornness can be charming, but this kind of desperation is ugly. It's getting late. Time to bare my fangs. A bit. That's the best you've got? Even a bare-bones prosthetic off the black market needs to be attuned to an individual's nervous system. You'd have to bring it into a clinic, which would have left a record on his shoulder OS, a record you won't find, and he'd still have to somehow have gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime calls for full-spectrum scanning of the entire building and 100 meters around it minimum. So where, Detective Reyes, did he manage to hide a cybernetic arm from your drones for the time between the shooting and his arrest? Well? Any objections? Detective? God damn it! Show me your hand, Flat. You're uncuffing me? In light of the evidence, we have no reason to hold you. Now I gotta go call the DA and tell her I made a mistake. No, we made a mistake, huh? Listen, kid, you should know. Detective? Lost my train of thought. But hey, your attorney's a real tiger and she just fought like hell for you. Make sure you thank her properly. Public defense doesn't pay that well. Yeah. That's kind of you to say, Detective, but my work is its own reward. Sure. I feel exactly the same, Counselor. What happens now? I'll have to speak with the DA about the dismissal, and there's still some paperwork we'll need to go through. But basically, you're free to go. Congrats, you get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact. Yay? But what am I supposed to do? The detectives will continue their investigation. Their investigation into heartbreak, huh? Yes. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. Damn, can y'all hear that? Somebody's blasting music outside. It's like rattling the fucking door frame a little. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. And then you can make funeral arrangements. No, that's not what I... Diane being gone is bad enough. But a serial killer? It's like she died of the flu. It doesn't happen anymore. People die of the flu all the time, but... I know what you mean. I can't make sense of it. So what am I supposed to do? Hell if I know. There are some contacts I could give you. Services professionals, doctors. No, you've done more than enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself to try and convince them that I didn't... You saved me. Thank you. You're welcome, Carlos, but it's my job to... No, I mean, thank you for not asking. For not asking if I killed her. Oh, Carlos. I didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all. The blood's always different. Heart's always in the same place, easy to find, hard to miss. But the blood's always different. A flowering stain unfurling towards an invisible sun. A perfectly unique bloom, only one for each of us. Rorschach test with a singular, universal meaning, vitality at its climax. Bursting forth into a red fractal consisting solely of an infinite the end. But the comical thud of a body hitting the floor has its own kind of lowbrow appeal. Bullet number 6 of 6, the gun's empty. It's useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but whatever. Finding the ammo was almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the advantages. I could sell an untagged gun for a fair bit of cash, but cash can't buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look so surprised, lady. Moping around in the dark in here must have only been able to see my silhouette. Did she think I was her boyfriend back for an encore of that enthralling conversation? Can't ask her now. Hey! You here? These old pieces are so goddamn loud. People aren't even familiar enough with the sound anymore to know to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood. But I didn't see anything I could use as even a partial suppressor on the way in. Could they really not afford some throw pillows? Oh, K-Tome. We got here right at the big reveal of episode 0. Alright, I'm gonna get back to it. I used the other 5 bullets in outdoor spaces in small spheres of blind opportunity that the city's eyes couldn't think to pierce. Cramped places, usually full of trash. But this room, as cheap as it looks, is at least clean, organized even. So the corpse adds a certain satisfying contrast. Except, there's shit on the floor. By the window, there are broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. It's just one thing out of place. Actually, it's not fine. It's actually really irritating. I kick over the stupid goddamn mirror. 5 perfect crime scenes, each of them not a speck of evidence, nothing to go on. For the final shot, there just has to be some pile of shit in the corner, ruining everything. I kick the wall. Something falls from it, probably more tasteless bullshit. I toss over the chair, knock the urn, tear into the sheets with my frustration and try to savor the shredding. If it can't be clean, I'll just have to lean into the messy angle. At least it'll be consistent. This was also stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on my humility. Now, was it satisfying when the first 3 went down with single shots? Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After that, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but... Ugh. Heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeurs would obsess over something that's none of their business? All the threads and breakdowns in the goddamn theory crafting, and all for the heartbreak killer. Sounds like a soap opera villain from a season where the writers were on strike. I feel insulted by the label, but no, that's someone else's name. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, socially impotent loser who shot 6 people because... Well, I'm sure people will come up with something. That he got rejected one too many times or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. If I had just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. And now that doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it'll irritate the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight, really savor it. I'm going home. The air's weighty tonight. It's thick, energized. A heavily foreshadowed summer rain I can feel on every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin, like in those short moments just after the shower turns off when the steam lingers. Yeah, it's always most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that, but I know I've never felt guilty about any of this. And I walk. Sorry, using my left is still, That's okay. You could just initial in those spots. I took a scenic route home, courtesy of our fine city's sprawling public transportation, and got in a bit after 11 p.m. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, did some stretching, made sure my phone was on. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40 a.m., a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate since it was so late and so urgent. I had wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have had enough sense to ask for a lawyer, and enough debt that he needed to be provided one. All I had to do was stay awake. There wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay, where else? Here and here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Why wouldn't I take on a job where I already knew more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. I would have gotten paid the same, too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was, of course, innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals, maybe even fans depending on his looks. More attention on HK and his crimes, more headaches. A cold case rotting in the very far back of the public's awareness is always preferable to one open and shut in haste. Now, with no more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be an additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now Heartbreak can just starve to death, out of sight and mind like any other fluke in the system. Mari, you've watched a show where a woman writing obituaries gets paid by the article, so she starts killing people? That's really funny.
What is that show?
Yeah, Kate wants to know what that show is. I'm sure you can hear her. Also, Boogan, Mar said hi when he came in.
Hi, everybody.
I think it's just obituary.
Okay.
Hey, you'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Is it okay? Well, hold on. Was it good?
That's a good point.
It's like this, but is it good?
It's Irish.
It is Irish.
That's something. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Word.
Excellent. Almost done. Getting involved with a case this intimately does have its risks. Hell, I might have even overdone things here or there. Like lighting up a smoke inside an interrogation room, just to make doubly sure I didn't still smell of gunpowder myself. That London fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked. But obviously everything turned out rosy. And it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities' failings from the best seat in the House, that's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Diane is grateful too. Funny. I didn't even know her name. Something the matter? No, sorry, it's just... I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was too. So when she died... Death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that she was in any pain. In fact, I can guarantee you she was dead by the time... she was dead before she hit the ground. No, I know, but I just keep thinking that she must have died angry at me. She must have died hating me. To tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself. What is it? Something I noticed in the ARC's data that I didn't quite understand. A piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit in anywhere else. But maybe you can make sense of it. What is the... Where did you find that? That pill organizer was found on the victim. She had it grasped in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the ARCs, but it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it contained tribrexazone, prescribed to help modders with phantom itches. They're small tablets, and those are tricky clasps, too, for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with an unsteady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died. Even if they did, feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But as far as facts are concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medications for the week. To my eyes, anyway. Long night. That was too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever see him again. But overstepping like that is pure hubris. And hubris invites a downfall. So why? Why did I even bother? It was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I'll just need to show more restraint next time. Though there won't be a next time for Heartbreak. The gun's in custody. There's no more bullets left. There won't be a seventh victim. There won't be any more leads to pursue. The media will move on to their next obsession. I'll move on to my next MO. And no one will ever... Found you. District Attorney Rockford. Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so fried. By all means. Ugh. Counselor Morgan. Morning, noon, or night, you're always so put together. Thank you. I don't get it. How do you sleep at night? Pardon? You do white noise? Aromatherapy? Whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. God. I must have bags under my eyes dark enough for the dumpsters. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. She's a prosecutor, the lawyer who argues for the state in court, trying to prove a defendant's guilt. And despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, since I haven't beaten her once. Worse yet, she has the remarkable ability to compartmentalize all that adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. It's part of what makes her good at her job, and hard for me to read. Should I buy a new mattress? What have they got you doing at this ungodly hour, Emma? Oh yeah, let's do profiles. Emma Rockford, February 13th, 165 centimeters, O positive. Occupation, Assistant District Attorney, likes coffee, toffee, and haute couture. Dislikes sunburn, dead pixels, and eye strain. Eggs Benedict, plays chess, shogi, and idle savant stars. And she is a cat person. Now we also have a profile for Heartbreak. An updated profile for Heartbreak. 26th, 175 centimeters. Occupation, criminal, defense attorney. Likes high places, gambling, and guns. Dislikes nosy people, mud, and headphones. Likes the batting cages, likes Mapo tofu, and cannot carry a tune. Oh, well, actually, I'm here for you. Me? Your client was a suspect in the Heartbreak killings. That's my case. Oh, well then you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go to trial against me. No? Why would I be worried about going up against you? It's always the unintended barbs with her. So you're working with those detectives? Yeah, London and the new girl, Reyes. They've been reporting to me in preparation for trial. Preparation for trial? That seems ambitious. I guess they gave you the rundown? They've been doing everything they can, but it's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little. It's hard to kill while leaving so little behind. So Reyes told you they had HK in custody, and you popped out of bed all excited to run down here? Hardly. I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much on my mind. So when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, yeah, my ears perked up. But that's about all. Oh? I mean, Carlos Flat, a serial killer? The same serial killer that's outsmarted the state for weeks? She's not using his middle name. And it comes back around. It was found with the murder weapon, but I can answer that any number of ways. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it? No gunpowder residue on him or his clothes, right? Too remorseful, too apologetic in that note. Whatever it was about is dominant armaded. With documented sensitivity issues. Never could have made shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to leave scorch marks. Not to mention he's too tall for the ballistics entry angles, and probably too heavy to not leave imprints. She got all that from a glance? But I'm sure a competent lawyer like yourself pointed all that out the minute you walked in here. Of course. Worst part is she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course it couldn't have been him. Long-term relationship, physically imposing, argumentative, so not the type to bottle things up. He didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, Right, sorry, you've probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. A profile is a reconstruction of a criminal's psychology based on evidence from their crimes. Kind of fallen out of fashion for the last few decades. Not much needed to guess about the why when 99 times out of 100 the who is caught on camera. Or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it. But I think I'm getting the hang of it. For this profiling, it's like some kind of investigative technique. The theory is that a crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing, overkill points to passion, rage, lust. They probably knew their victim. Poison and guns, meanwhile, suggest they can't overpower their victims physically. And then there's the things you can assume about nearly all serial offenders. Childhood trauma, prior criminal record, few or no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detectives say HK doesn't leave evidence. So how much can his crimes possibly tell you? That he's diligent. Almost perfect. Highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on an untagged firearm. It's rare to see this animated outside the courtroom. It's almost like she's enjoying herself. A sheltered house cat who's picked up the scent of a mouse for the first time. A lone wolf, educated, but all her playfully lethal instincts coming to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued. I'm not thrilled about the fact that in that metaphor I would be the... Know what I mean? Definitely. And considering the marksmanship, the detective said that HK would have needed insider information on optics. So does that mean heartbreaks in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Okay, I am gonna flag one of my favorite lines in the game is coming up. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority. That'd be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. He'd be kicking kids in the head after the first full rotation. No! Alright, alright. Alright. That's such bad timing, damn. I gotta keep better tabs on when the ads happen. I gotta see if I can mess with that. It's okay, I saved it. It's okay. We're in the log. Alright, okay, we back? We back. I'm just gonna run this bit again. So does that mean heartbreaks in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority. That'd be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. They'd be kicking kids in the head after the first full rotation. I love that metaphor so much. Right, that's exactly how I'd put it. There must be some connection to the police, though. Maybe secondary or tertiary. These types can't help but insert themselves. Insert themselves? I don't do anything even resembling that. Wait, if HK is not a cop, how do they know about the blackout timing? Crime meta-statistics analysis. Probably. Pardon? Take the emergency response times from across the city and map them out. Look for brief spikes and delays. Chart out the dips and... Sorry, technical, I know, but all the requisite data is publicly available. With a map, a spreadsheet, a calculator, anyone could reverse engineer the timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. Well, at least this heartbreak maniac will slow down now that he's lost his weapon. I think I'm just gonna throw that kind of vocal fry kind of vibe on Emma. Well, Morgan is like very sharp. He didn't lose it. He chose to leave it behind. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. Didn't say this before, but in certain pieces of media, very curious where this is going. When they default to he for a mystery person, it's probably a woman. Yeah, that's true. And a lot of times that comes about with like a translation thing. Like, at least in like shit I've seen, where the pronouns don't map correctly. But also, I think in both of these cases, Morgan is the first person to say he in both situations. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. And it just makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills. Were there other shootings with the same MO? No, not that I've found. Are there victims that fit the description? No, but I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyway. I mean, these 6 victims all look like each other, but they also look like a lot of people. That's true. Hell, they kind of look like me. Do they? Sure, what? You don't see it? I hadn't thought about it. Point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Yeah, Mar, what's up? What's up, Mar? What's going on? What you thinking? Yeah, you see why I've been talking about it. Getting things that perfect takes practice. So I know that HK must have had a lot more than 6 occasions to practice, Morgan. And that's why I think heartbreak is a misnomer. You've got something catchier in mind? I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance. If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 untagged bullets. 6 kills, guaranteed, no matter what kind of life support mods they were packing. The real signature isn't the bullets or the gun, it's the perfection. That's hard to wrap your head around. I'm saying that these 6 murders were just a fluke, a slip-up, a mistake? Exactly, a mistake. How do they know she never reloaded? Because the spent casings were still in the revolver. When they found the gun. They got too clean, too efficient. Now they've got the public's attention. It's no wonder they're so pissed. Are you talking about the crime scene? Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right? Based on what you've said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed that room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing. On the contrary. I don't follow. This was the last bullet, their last shot. The other 5 were perfect. So if anything was out of place this time around, they must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum. You make them sound like a child. Childish. And cowardly. And two-faced. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win. Your profile tell you all that? That? No. That part's just... It takes one to know one. So to summarize, you're looking for a cold-blooded, faceless perfectionist killer who you think has no persistent MO or victim type. In a city with an 8-digit population. Well, good luck. I don't need luck. I only need more information. Well, I'm sure the city would be happy to provide you with more resources. No, Morgan, I need more crime scenes. Oh. Sad truth is, if Heartbreak walked away today, I'd never catch them. Only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies. Not a very fair trade, is it? No, it isn't. But getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil. Fair enough. Woof. Okay, that rant was pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more. Or sleep more. Or sleep less but harder? You think a higher thread count would help? Don't worry about it. I'm always happy to listen to you ramble. It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the courtroom. Sorry, but that's the adversarial process. No hard feelings, yeah? No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. I could use a cup of coffee. How about you? Don't tempt me. If you fall asleep face first on the table, I won't even take a picture. Okay. Just don't expect this to make a difference next time we're at each other's throats. Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation. And the police will have moved on to cases they actually stand a chance of closing. That's what people do. But Emma is different. She'll set it aside and work at other cases, never bringing it up. But a private corner of that frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, but never quitting either. So I can't afford to take my eyes off of her. As long as that's the case, I may as well try to enjoy the view. It's interesting how much of the twist reframes all of Morgan's behaviors in retrospect, too. Totally. Oh, totally. It's so well executed, I think. Like, even up top, at the in her opening monologue, she says, in her opening monologue, she says, if you're in one of the last dark corners in the entire city, smoke them if you got them. Right? Like, and she's, so, and like, you, and she's talking about her fucking bullets. Which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while. This is a episode 1 plug. For how long? I'm sorry. I don't know. There's no need to look that upset over it. My face barely moved. It may as well have been a blatant pout for where I'm sitting. Yeah. Like that. This friend of yours, they're trustworthy? Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. Hey, come on. It'll be fun. Really? Really. Educational, too. I think you could stand to learn a lot from someone like Morgan. It's so I'm just gonna say you can take this time to hand it to me. I was right about this game. It's peak. It's so good. I know. You're the smartest person I know, Morgan, when it comes to people. Personally, I think it's cool to bring something that flawed into the world. You're a criminal defense attorney and we're at a crime scene. I think I can guess what happens next. I've never stolen anything that wasn't already compromised. Work hard and the company will have you set for life. And after, too. Can't tell you how many musicians I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. So that's not just a lawyer job thing? You dress like a doorman on the weekends, too? Compared to determining fault, determining cause of death is like a breath of fresh air. The company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. We can't hope to keep this quiet for very long. But it's a million times more likely than the alternative, that Heartbreak could ever stop themselves from killing. Father said that you owed him. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it. Yeah, episode 1 is a fair bit longer than the prologue. I could not do episode 1 in one stream. Yeah, so it's all of the chapter titles, like, chapter 0 is and he shall appear. uh Chapter 1 is an idle mind, and chapter 2 is his due. So they're all like saying, like, bits of sayings that have to do with uh like the devil being a part of it. Yeah. This is what betting gets you. All right. Well, thanks for coming out, everybody. That's going to be stream for today. I hope you enjoyed. It seems like you did. It's a really good game. I honestly like. And the thing is that yeah, it was so fun getting to see the two of you react to the reveal in real time. That was sick. I will say straight up, I might stream more of it. I still, I if you want to play it on your own, I don't have a current Tuesday game is the thing. If I don't come up with another Tuesday game by next week, I might stream more of it, or I might just do like I could do like the Dulls. I could do like, but I want to find a new Tuesday game. Pick something out of my, I do like visual novels. That's true. I'm not sure it's I'm not really sure it's the sound we're looking for. I do want to play it. That's true. That's fair. Would it? Yeah, visual novels I feel like are a real gamble when it comes to streaming. Let me see. What do I have? I could stream this fucking. I could stream the Stanley Parable. I could stream Near Replicant. I could stream Sleeping Dogs. Oh, no, Sleeping Dogs would be too close to Yakuza. I think. I think I wouldn't want to have that doubled up. I could stream Final Fantasy 16. Afterimage, Guacamelee. I don't know why I still have Deep Rock Galactic installed. I need to get that out of my fucking drive. I have played Nier Automata, not on stream, but I've played it like personally. It's definitely a consideration. Because that's one of those games where I might need it to be a stream game to force me to actually sit down and play it. I could torture myself and play Witcher 3. Honestly, I would rather play Deep Rock Galactic than Witcher 3. Ugh. I'm already into Tunic a little bit, and I feel like a Tunic stream would not be interesting because it'd just be me like copying down characters quietly for like, you know, I don't know, like 60% of it. Yeah, Replicant's definitely a contender. I might put up like a poll or something. I could stream Catherine Classic. Oh, I could stream Hi-Fi Rush. I do have that game now. All right. Well, there's options. There's plenty of options. I'll link you to that poll when I do put it up. But other than that, thanks for hanging out, and I will see the both of you around and next time. Bye bye.